Howdy everyone, welcome back to the Epoch Challenge. This is ZeroPointBob, and in this episode, we will be finally finishing our exploration of Beta 1.7. In the last episode, we updated a lot of our farms near our main base, and even made some new statues off in the distance. But for today, we are going to visit some of the furthest reaches of terrain generation, and even warp back in time to a previously unvisited era of Minecraft. While we are traveling to our first landmark, let's talk about terrain generation. The majority of games have a crafted world that is identical with every playthrough. Minecraft went a different direction and made the world mathematically generated. This made worlds unique for each player. Additionally, this unlocked restrictions on how large a world could be. Which way am I going? I think it's this way still. Hypothetically infinite terrain generation, early players of Minecraft had an important question. Does the terrain really go on forever? This question resulted in finding an iconic feature of early beta Minecraft. The Farlands. This wall of terrain was considered a bug and removed in the next update, Beta 1.8. But this did not stop the Minecraft community. With an almost occult-like obsession to visit these lands legitimately, a few content creators have completed the journey to the Farlands. This might initially sound unimpressive, but this terrain bug only occurs after traveling over 12 million blocks from world spawn, something that can take thousands of hours of playtime to achieve. Now obviously, we are not millions of blocks away from spawn, and that nether tunnel didn't take hours of traveling. Instead, using some clever commands and an external application, we were able to import a section of the Farlands into our Epoch world. This was a complicated process, but if anyone is interested in the exact method I use, comment below, and maybe I'll make a quick tutorial. Anyway, currently there isn't much else to do here, besides take in the majestic nature of it all. In the future, we might design a large structure around these cliffs, and maybe create a fancy bridge from our nether portal. But at the very least, we need to pretty up this nether tunnel. It's functional, but very dangerous currently. Or at least the other side of it is. You can see the nether itself is still growing. Got our grass and our trees going on. Let's head back to our museum district. Few projects have been completed there. One of them is related to that time warp I mentioned previously. But before we dive too deep into that, let's check out the progress on the beta building itself. You might be able to see some sneak peeks of our time warp. But let's focus in on our beta museum first. The first floor has gotten some more details added. Items have been better organized and labeled in these chests. A receptionist was added, made of snow and a pumpkin. In the future, this might create a snow golem, something not currently implemented. The next few rooms have had bookcases added, but besides that, are mostly the same. Our roller coaster room definitely needs to be redesigned. And these stairs got a small facelift, looking a little bit better now. The second floor is mostly the same. We added this little cut through. Besides that, it's storing our debugged chest from beta 1.6. And up here, the major change is our third floor. We've completed this room, and the plan is to store every placeable block available in the beta era. We have a decent amount placed already, but a lot more will be added by the end of the beta epoch. Speaking about the new blocks, I am looking forward to the addition of stone bricks. a very versatile block that will be used in almost every build once introduced. Anyway, out of the museum. So what's this giant wooden structure here? Well, something that's very familiar in newer releases, but maybe not in this one. This is a TNT duper. I just flip this lever. Let's see it start working. This design wasn't created until many years after the beta era. One reason might be sponges are not normally obtainable during this time, so discovering this design required some out-of-the-box ideas. I don't fully understand the mechanics, but I decided to use this machine to mine a deep hole. And since these chunks were generated back in infinite development, they don't have any bedrock, thus allowing access directly to the void. Whee! This lack of bedrock will come in handy for a future project. A wild ambition we might start once we enter the full release era. Back to the time warp thing. While we travel this wonderful mountain path, let's talk about the development version before infinite terrain generation was added. Called InDev, I assume this is an abbreviation for initial development. This stage focused on adding blocks, items, and entities, and was a final evolution of what we now call the classic era of Minecraft. Many aspects of this era were incompatible with future releases. Even if they could be converted, some blocks from InDev would permanently corrupt and crash when updated. Before we get to this display, or the floating island we are currently on, I want to mention a great resource for anyone playing these early versions. The Minecraft Discontinued Features Wikipedia is amazing. Without this wiki, a lot of this Let's Play wouldn't have been possible. Anyway, as you can see here, when InDev worlds are converted, some interesting blocks are created. By placing blocks in specific directions and ways, we are able to create floating rails, half beds, and some interesting pistons. My favorite being these 6-sided ones. Even cursed piston head blocks are possible. Man, these things look strange. So even this unique block, not quite visible, but you can see the outline. I believe this is block 36. You can see how the light gets darker when we jump into it. I believe this block is used during the process of the piston head converting from an entity to a block. I don't know. Too complicated for me. At the very end here, though, we have some goofy floating torches. One of them popped off when we updated. There's also these wood blocks. The main interesting feature is these leaves above. Some of these might change into jungle leaves whenever those are added. You might be wondering, where did this island come from? Well, during a live stream, we started up a new world in InDev 2010-01-28-1. Floating island terrain generation was selected, making our future input into the Epoch world significantly easier. Another perk with this version came with a house made of mossy cobble and debug chests with special 100 count item stacks inside. Some of these blocks were not what they are now. I'll place an overlay in post so that you can see the difference during in development. The spawner and stair blocks used to be water and lava spawners, a weird feature of early Minecraft. This entire chest was made up of cloth blocks, and now they call them wool blocks, and the conversion allowed for access to some really illegal looking items. The piston head and block 36 are very strange in item form. The next chests are similarly 100 stacks, a ton of TNT, and some tools and some armor, some other resources. I don't plan on using any of these chests, but in the future, some might be destroyed during updates, so we won't say that we won't ever use them. Something referred to as the flattening might remove a lot of items from our world, but that's a future Bob problem. Anyway, the theme of this island is a steampunk floating island type thing. Get a good vantage point. Inspired by the very first version of Redstone, these cogs here, I added a bunch of them and connected them to these giant wings on either side and added this sort of, I don't know, helicopter design in the middle. This is just the start of this build. I want to add more features to make this island more, I don't know, boat-like. I guess we might add a stern or a bow, maybe some more structures to it, maybe add access to the underground caves below. I don't know. We'll see how this develops. The last thing to show off are these two bedrock pools, both remnant from liquid spawners back in Indev. They are now just pools of strangely flowing water and lava. You can see the pig spawners, what changed there. And the stair blocks have already burned away in this one. But there's still a little spot where they used to be. And that brings us to the end of our Indev Museum tour. Without anything else to show off in the museum district, let's head back down and visit something that we haven't visited in a while. The Mob Farm Complex. Last time we were there, we had 8 separate platforms for mob spawners. 3 have been removed so far. Let's see. 3 are joined together into this central column now. There are still a lot of changes that I want to do. One of them being adding pistons down below. Currently at the end of this, they fall to their death. I want to be able to toggle this platform up and make it a player kill mode. Another thing we have to do is that in beta 1.8, there's a change into animal spawning, which makes our glass platforms in the corner not really functional and will need to be removed. Right now, they still function. As you can see, sheep are falling and other passive mobs. I also have to remove these. I've removed a couple here, but I haven't removed this one yet. And a large redesign of the whole structure sort of has to happen. Another problem is that the current platforms allow for spiders to spawn. That needs to be adjusted. But you can see it's working pretty well. Constant flow of mobs just falling to their doom. Well, with that somewhat dark ending, that's everything that has occurred since last episode. Another talky one. Maybe next time we will build something together. Maybe a statue or automated farm. Not entirely sure. Whatever ends up being, it won't be in beta 1.7.3. I'm getting tired of the same limited block palette, so it's time to update. The next few releases introduce many new blocks, like the previously mentioned stone bricks, some new mobs, and many more features as the developers cram for the official release. Lots of exciting things to explore next time, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next edition of the Epoch Challenge, where we will continue this adventure through Minecraft's history. Hit that like button if you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching. Peace.